which looks dead. But God is saying to you, I have greater for you.
Are you going to believe the word of man, or are you going to stand?
God is going to uncover and expose us as leaders and pastors.
So the church have to be on board.
Yes.
I'm out for playing church, people. Hey, friends. Listen, I am so excited to have my guest co-host right now, Natalie Taylor, on here. Natalie, we are so excited to have you. Listen, guys, Natalie is in the building. This is my business coach. Since it's Women's History Month, we just decided, let me just tell the truth. I didn't even know it was Women's History Month, so I feel bad. But it happened to fall on a day when I wanted my business coach to come, because she is like, let me tell you something. She is that deal when it comes to business. And when I found her, you guys, and I'm going to just take her out for just a second because I want to make her blush, okay? When I found her, I was in a place in my life where I was hitting a ceiling. And so I'm like, I need someone that can come into my life to produce fruit. Okay, to kind of teach me on another level of business. Okay, and so I started my first business at 17 years old. So I knew business, but there's another level to business when you feel like you hitting a ceiling and what's next. And then I had some babies that I needed to birth, and so she is a business midwife. Okay, so whatever you have in your belly, she's gonna help you to produce it. And so I said, listen, I gotta have you on the show because the people need to hear you. Okay. She is so powerful. She's so connected. And I didn't even let me tell you something. I wasn't looking for someone that's saved and sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost. I actually said, God, who you want to send to me? And just so happened, she have all of that, okay? She's a banger when it comes to Christ. She loved Jesus. And so that just worked out just fine. But I didn't come to her for that because you never know who you're supposed to connect to help you to produce the fruit that's needed for your business. And so let me not just say too much, but let me just say this. Natalie is a strategist, okay? She know how to build multi-million-dollar companies, and she has a heart to push people to purpose in business. And tonight she's going to share some top secrets now, some strategies on how to obtain kingdom economics in your business and principles and strategies to grow your business. And she have a story to tell. Listen, what she's going to talk about tonight, have your pen and paper ready. Okay, and get ready for God to really grow you up. Okay, it's time to grow you up in different aspects of your life. And especially if you're a wannabe entrepreneur, you need to know how to be effective in business. So I'm so excited to have my business coach, Natalie Taylor, here tonight to just rap with us and tell us all about business and strategy and how to push forward. So let me not talk no longer, okay? Go ahead and share, guys, with all of your friends, okay? Go ahead and share, because this is going to be off the chain, okay? And listen, if you have not followed us on all social media platforms at the Spoken Truth Talk Show, do it now. And if you're watching on YouTube, my YouTube friends, go ahead and select like and hit the bell notification so that you can get notifications when we're on here, okay? So y'all ready for tonight? Because I am, okay? I'm going to go ahead and let my business coach in, okay? Natalie!
Woo!
Hi, friend. You look beautiful, might I say. You look
thank
good.
You. I tried. I showered. I lotioned. Put on some makeup. My son told me that my makeup was looking a little bit orangey. So
no, it's not.
Like,
you look good. You look, boys, let me tell you something. I don't even ask my son how I look anymore. I just don't. Okay, because I'm going to have to change and do everything else before I can do anything because he's going to make me feel that way. And so you look amazing. I'm so excited to have you on the show. Just tell them a little bit more about yourself because I didn't even do it no justice. You are a woman with a double major in business. I mean, gosh, you have an international business degree. You have actually triple major. You have an international relations degree, finance and accounting degree, world business, marketing and strategy. I mean, you got it going on, girl. But I know that all of that is cool, but I know that you don't even care about all that stuff because you actually changed the game in business. And some people, even with a lot of degrees, don't know how to cultivate business because they don't teach you how to really keep a business and really push it forward. So tell them a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so yeah, you're correct. What we learn in business school doesn't really prepare you to own a business, grow a business, or understand the full gamut of a business. It's enough to get you able to get into an interview, answer the questions, and move up the corporate ladder, right?
Yeah.
But what I learned in school at first, I was talking to my foster mom, Sheila, and she'd done really good for herself. She worked at the top level of the USAID. She was in all the nice functions. She had all the nice clothes. We lived in nice homes, security, nice car. I could go to nice schools. So I just said, okay, I want to do what she's doing, which was international. I knew from a very young age that I loved world economics. I knew I loved finance. I knew I loved business. But I didn't really know what I wanted to do, to be honest, because I didn't come from a background similar to yours. I didn't come from a background that prepared me to have like a trajectory for the future. So when I got to her as a teen, I knew that I wanted her lifestyle. And so I was like, whatever she does, that's what I want to do. So I knew it was something international. And she told me very early in the game, she said, if you really want to help people, don't work for the government. Don't work for companies. Go make your own money, get wealthy, and then you can do things. So when I went to college, I actually was naturally good at accounting. So people kind of like navigated me towards accounting, and I did accounting as my first major, international relations, because I wanted to do something in international business. Then I went into accounting and finance. And in my last degree, I focused in marketing and strategy.
And so, since we're first and foremost, Natalie, thank you. You have really been an inspiration to many of us. I see our LAS family in the building. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, for joining. I see Esther, Winsome. I see a lot of you out there. Thank you so much for joining. You have been an inspiration to many women, and men, let me just say that. But tell us, who inspires you, a woman that inspires you, since it's Women History Month. What woman inspire you in business?
In business?
That's a hard, tough question.
Yeah. Honestly, if I'm going to be honest, the person that inspires me, the woman that inspired me, my mother, she's no longer alive, my biological mother, because when I was young, I just remember seeing her taking nothing and making something of it. It wasn't much, but by the time she died, she had lived in poverty, but by the time she died, she left a house and land. My first foster mother inspires me because she didn't finish school. She dropped out at grade 3. And she was able to go on and buy 2 houses in her lifetime, and she died without debt. Then my spiritual mother inspires me because she loved deeply. She didn't have much. She didn't have much financially. She didn't teach me anything pertaining to business or finance, but she showed me how to choose righteous over right, and that's a lot like kingdom principles for me. And then my second foster mother, Sheila, she taught me how to own, to have wealth, not just to have a house and leave no debt, but how to live in abundance. So all 4 women actually inspire me, to be honest.
I love that. And let me ask you this. You have a heartfelt story, and you guys just heard her say her foster parents and another foster parent and then another foster parent, and she lost her mom. You have faced many obstacles in life, okay? And you have overcome many trials and tribulations. Yet, you had a comeback, okay? And so you were not defeated, okay? Tell us your story and how you're still standing with the obstacles that you face, being in foster homes, having many foster parents, and then you had a loss even recently in the years, and now you had a comeback, girl. You know, you came back blazing. So tell us a little bit about your story and how you overcame.
To be honest, it's all glory to God. I mean, even if, as I'm speaking to you right now, if I'm going to be fully transparent, like my kids are literally like not even in alignment, right? So I want people to understand, like, I'm real, I'm raw, I'm transparent. It's all glory to God. Because when I say everything that the enemy has tried with me, he's tried it. Like from husband to sisters to family to mother to foster mother, he's tried it. I've had, as recent as a few days ago, someone who I love and respect, I think you know about it, just straight up told me that a contract that I wanted, that I shouldn't go for it because I don't qualify. But the truth is, I'm more than qualified. So how do I keep getting back up and getting back over? Is because I believe in God and God believes in me, right? Because even the people who come and they cheer for you, they eventually leave. They have their own life. They have their own business. They have their own family. And so when I'm by myself, it's just me and God. It's not my kids. I don't do it for my kids because at the end of the day, if you do it for your kids, they will literally sometime have you feel demotivated. Okay? If you do it for your spouse and they decide that they don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore, you will find yourself going back to Christ. And if you do it for friends or for the crowd or the fans, you'll find out that your fans get tired of you. Because a lot of the fans, they're cheering for you when you're down, but the minute you start getting too big or start making too much or start getting too popular or too famous or too successful, because there's some people, they're okay when you're coming up with them or you're on the come up, but the minute you're beginning to build progress and momentum and success, the people who start with you won't finish with you. So at the end of the day, I can say the one consistent thing is that I finally got to the place of, you know what? People come and people go, and people are not going to go as hard for me as I go for them, right? And that's not me against the world mentality. That's just the reality of what it is. And the truth is, some of the times people are going to quit on the idea of me before I even get started. Some people are excited about the idea of me, but once they get to know you, once they get to see how much work that goes into doing what you want, they get excited when you tell them the vision and the strategy. But when they see the sweat equity that goes into it, when they see the sacrifice that comes with it, they quit, right? They get emotional. People will tell you that, yeah, let's be a team. Let's build this together. And the minute they see that they're going to have to contribute as much as you're contributing, they decide to take whatever they have and go. But if you are contributing more than them, then they want to be a team. They want to be a part of the team as long as you're contributing more and they're benefiting more. But the minute you are bringing more to the table, I mean, they're bringing equal or same to the table for more, they're out. They're out the door. There are some people that they will celebrate you when you're down, but they won't celebrate you when you're up. And you have some people, the minute you get down, they won't be down with you. So you have to understand that not everybody, you know, they might seem, oh, they were down with me, but that's the down crew. And they were up with me. Well, that's the up crew. You have some people, they will ride with you up and down, but you know who is going to be there all the time? You and God. So you got to get to the place where at the end of the day, you are not worried about what season you're in. You're not worried about what the weather is. You're not worried about how your children behaving. Because let me tell you something, when it matters most, the people you need the most sometimes are going to act a fool. And so you need to know who you are.
Come on. Listen, didn't I tell you? Okay, didn't I tell you? That was so much truth in what you said, because as many of us out there, we have our down guys and our up guys, okay? And there's no in between. There's nobody there up and down. It's rather the up or the down, okay? And so that's so true. And in all, you know that you have God. Okay, no matter what, when everybody leave you, when everybody forsake you, the Bible says he would never leave you nor forsake you. So keep your trust in God and not in man. And so that was amazing. So you are a person that knows who she is. You know, I can safely say that because I saw you. I see you move, and I see how you do things, and being up under a Life Architect Society, you are a person that know your why. But I would like our friends to know your why. And so what would you say your why is and your God-given purpose on earth?
Okay, I'll tell you how I got to it as well as I'll tell it to you. So originally, I thought my why was my mother, my biological mother, because I saw her suffer and struggle, and then I got a taste of what wealth looked like and tastes like by living with my foster mom. I got a taste of what rich feels like by living in that last foster home. I got a taste of what it felt like to work on Wall Street and own things and be able to just go into stores and afford anything you wanted. And so I wanted her to have that because she didn't have any of that. You know, she was abandoned at a few months old and was raised by a blind aunt with not much. And so that was my why. I was driven because, you know, when I was on Wall Street, I didn't feel like I fit in because all the other persons in my starting year were from Yale or Harvard or Stanford, and I was from Morgan State, and nobody even knew my school because it was a HBCU. When I was there, and nobody knew where I was in the world, where I was from in the world called jungle. When I was there, and I was, you know, homeless at one point because I didn't have a credit score to be able to rent my own place, and the place where I was staying, they attacked me, so I had to be sleeping overnight different places. Again, the same cycle. My why was my mom. You know, I wanted her to see and taste and smell and have that. And then she died. And then my why became my son. And I remember making so many sacrifices because I had a child at the age of 16 while I was homeless. And I remember making so many sacrifices thinking, I'm doing this for him. I want to give him this. And so I remember as he got older, the rejection that I felt because I had to move away from him to be able to finish college. I had to leave him behind in order to live on the dorms because I couldn't afford school. I was on scholarship. And, you know, he started to feel abandoned as a child, I guess, and rejected. So he started to reject me as a teen. And I remember that rejection of him not wanting to be smart or not wanting to have good grades or not wanting to have the nice things or damaging the things that I would get him or, you know, not wanting the track that I was trying to mentor him and put him on. And I remember when I felt that to my core, and I felt like my life was for him. I was doing all of this for him. And when he rejected me in that form, like showing me, hey, I got my own path. I want to do my own thing, which is fair and right. At the time, I didn't understand that. And I had to come to terms with myself that my why cannot be a man. It cannot be a child. It cannot be my mother because people come and go. And so your why has to be something that's bigger than somebody else. It's bigger than a relationship. It should be able to outlive relationships. It should be able to outlive your passion. It should be able to outlive things. And so my why is to literally fulfill what I came here to do. And every single time I feel like, oh, I came here to do this, I realized that was just leading me to the next level of my why. So my why is to be exactly what God created me to be. About 5 or 6 years ago, I was in a room with a bunch of high achieving women, and I heard a woman say, you know, I don't know why I've been doing this because I know who I am. I know what I'm made of. And it was at that moment I realized I did not know who I was, and I did not know what I was made of. I'd never before been given an opportunity to be my best. I was born into poverty. I was given away at 7. I was not raised loving. I was molested. I was, beaten. I had issues with suicide by the time I was 9. I had extreme issues. I mean, extreme issues to the point where I had to push through. I was always pushing through pain and trauma. And I thought to myself, what if I gave myself a fair chance at life? What if I believed in myself? What if I spoke good about myself? What if I believed what God said about me? What if I did for me? What if every single day I woke up and went after what I wanted as much as I could that particular day? What if every single day all I did was eat the food that made me stronger, think the thought that made me more confident, walk the walk that made me bolder, sleep enough that made me feel rested, do exactly what I needed to do to be the best version of that self that day. And so when I started to realize that the better I get at being me, the stronger my why became. And the stronger my why
Come
became,
on.
easier it was to walk in pain, the easier it was to be able to give birth to not just things that I'm to give birth to, but to help dozens of women all at the same time give birth without having to deal with the pressure. Like a lot of people can't deal with their own life pressure. I carry mine and I carry so many others because I've gone to the place of full surrender. Every single day I wake up and I die to yesterday and I resurrect to this moment. I walk in the spirit of resurrection. I embody what resurrection means. Because you know what? Every single day, I'm aware that yesterday I didn't have what I have today. And so my why is to die empty and to live full. That means every single day, I will not go to bed with any grace. I will use every single ounce of grace, just like the Israelites were asked to do when they were in the desert place. Do not save any manna for the next day. Use all of what you got. So every single day, I will not go to bed with anything that I got for that day. And that is my why, that I will possess my possession. I will manifest everything that I was born to manifest. And I will align with everybody I was born to align with.
Wow. You said it all. And I believe that what you just said really hit home to many of you out there because they was typing in. Natalie, I suffered with imposter syndrome. I suffered, okay, past tense. And as you was talking, we shared the same story. I lived from house to house to house when I was younger, in shelters, homeless. My grandmother took me in. I dealt with being molested, raped. And so I had some rejection issues, abandonment issues, orphan issues, and imposter syndrome came latter actually in my life. And imposter syndrome, like many others, also known as imposter phenomenon or fraud syndrome, it is a psychological pattern in which an individual always doubt their skills, talents, accomplishments, and has persistently internalized fear, of being rather exposed, or I'm not good enough, what they're going to say when I open my mouth. And I'm going to tell you, despite, people like yourself accomplish, you still, feel like sometimes you're not competent. You can't do this. You're not experienced enough. And so I had this thing, even starting this talk show, I wasn't going to do it. I was safe when I had 4 women joining it with me. But when God said, no, I told you to do it, I was like, now, wait a minute, because I'm like, why come I can't have Aaron to talk for me? Why come them women can't remove the light off me, And so I felt like Moses, like, God, I'm not eloquent enough. I'm not going to know what to say. I have a little tang in my tone. You know what I'm saying? I'm not eloquent. I didn't have a degree. I dropped out of high school. Now I'm in school. And then I did get a socialist business degree. But however, I felt like, I couldn't do it. And what if they say this, or what if, but I got over it now. However, what would you say to those people out there that's experiencing the imposter syndrome and that's afraid whether to start a business or to expand their business? What would you say to them?
Okay, so first of all, I want to acknowledge that I too suffered with imposter syndrome for a long time.
Come on.
All throughout college, when I was getting all of those scholarships, almost 50 scholarships to get me through all 3 double and triple degree major on those degrees. I literally was, there might be a couple people on here who went to college with me who will tell you that I got sick every semester. I ended up in the emergency room because when we got to around like exam period, like October, November for the end of the fall semester, or around April, May for the end of the spring semester, I literally would get sick physically. I would literally have to call my mentor, and she would ground me into different things. But at first I would stop eating properly. I wouldn't be able to sleep properly because, again, it was the idea that how did I get this far without being found out? Never before in my life had I been a straight A student. And then I got to college and there was no more sports for me to put all my excellence in. And I'd throw my whole self into school because I was realizing that, wow, I'm good at numbers. Wow, I have a really good memory. okay, I can't read straight. I can't sit and read a book multiple pages at a time, but I can actually look at the book and take pictures with my mind and memorize whole books, which a friend of mine taught me to do by using highlighter to just keep highlighting it, and didn't realize I could take pictures of the book with my mind. Because in school they were teaching us to read, because they weren't teaching us that there are other ways that we could learn whole topics in short periods of time. And so as I was learning these techniques, I was realizing, wait a minute, according to these people, I'm smart. According to these tests, I am good. But this doesn't add up because my mother didn't go to school. My foster mom didn't finish, even make it to the 4th grade. I dropped out of school because I was homeless, right? Yes, I did finish high school, but I was a B and C student. But part of the reason was because of the stuff that was going on in the background. So when I got to college and I was a 4.0 student, and I was, on scholarships, and I was constantly getting awards. I mean, I literally would constantly think, are these people going to figure out? I mean, this semester they're going to find out. And I just kept thinking, wow, I'm going to be so ashamed. They're going to send me back to Jamaica. I'm going to be embarrassed. And so every semester I would get literally so crippled that I would end up in the emergency room for dehydration.
Wow.
Or I would end up in the emergency room because I had stomach issues from not eating properly. I would sit in the room for hours and not move because I was afraid that if I moved out, the fear of missing something. And I would apply to every single scholarship because I was afraid that I would get kicked out of school for not being able to afford it. So fast forward, after going into toxic relationship, because whatever you believe, you attract. So I started to attract people in my life that affirmed my imposter syndrome. They started to affirm my abusers, that started to affirm that I'm not good enough. The toxic friends that started to affirm that I was nobody. The people who borrowed money, took money, that started to affirm that I was not valuable enough to possess the money that I was earning. And so fast forward, what I've learned as a coach and what I teach others is that in order to meet up imposter syndrome and overcome it, the first thing you got to do is sit down and write yourself a brag bank. And that's something we practice in Life Architect Society. And the brag bank is simply, what have you accomplished? What have you achieved? Who did you help? When was a time when you felt like you were failing and you literally did the work and overcame it? When was a time that you were back against the wall and you did what was necessary? What did you build? Who did you serve? You see, your resume only talks about the jobs that you've been paid for, but a lot of us are more equipped than the jobs that we've served in. And so we feel like, well, if I don't have a certificate or a degree, if somebody hasn't given me an award, then I'm not good enough. But a lot of people are actually powerful in areas that they have never been paid for. And so when you begin to look at your documentation, you begin to see that the devil has been a liar. I have a friend that she came to me and she was like, she wants to be a coach. And then she started to, imposter syndrome came up and she was like, well, I don't know if I can be a coach because, people are going to say, who do you think you are? That's what imposter syndrome says, right? And so I said to her, well, answer it. That's the next thing. You got to answer this negative self-talk. It says, who do you think you are? Speak, answer. Who do you think you are? Well, I'm a child of God, and begin to read it to your accomplishment. So I had her write her brag bank. And she saw that from a little girl, she'd been preparing to be a counselor, a coach. She's been a teacher. She's been a helper. She's helped people with transformation. She's helped families. She taught people. She's been trained. And then when she looked at her resume, she realized that it was a purpose roadmap to the fact that she was called to be a coach. And she just finished her first cohort of coaching clients and got a ton of feedback and is actually on her second cohort a coaching client. And this is somebody who was publicly rejected and lied on, but she had to remind herself of who she is. And so for me, another thing is imposter syndrome cannot speak up louder when you act. And I tell this to you guys all the time. There is, you can be a goal-oriented or you can be a vision-oriented person. When you walk in the vision of who God says you are, then imposter syndrome backs off, right? I can tell you in this season, I don't have imposter syndrome as I've had in previous season. My confidence is not so much even about me. It's that because if you're a writer and you write every day, where's imposter syndrome gonna stand? If you say you're a runner and you run every day, what can imposter syndrome do? So you gotta show up for yourself and keep showing up, even if nobody is in the stands cheering, even if nobody is buying tickets, even nobody is registering for your course. Keep showing up and keep doing the work, because eventually what's going to happen is when you don't leave, somebody's going to come knocking and they're going to say, hey, I don't know, but I think I'm supposed to be here. Hey, I don't know, but I think I heard somebody talking about you down there. And what they were complaining about is exactly what I want. You still have it? Hey, I don't know, but you got a little bit of oil. I know it's not a lot, but it's just enough that I need for myself. Hey, I realize that you went through a divorce and I realize you haven't lost your mind. Can you show me how you didn't lose your mind? Hey, I realize you're a single mom who raised 4 and 5 children by yourself. All of them went through college, graduated. They're all doing well. I'm a single mom. I didn't plan for this, but can you teach me how to organize my household? Can you teach me how to keep my stuff together? Hey, I love the way you keep your house. I don't know how you do it. Can you show me how you organize your house? Hey, by the way, we make the same amount of money and you're always nicely dressed. You always have your stuff together. Can you show me how you keep it all together on the budget that you have and still be able to do all that you do? Somebody is watching. They want exactly what you have. And you got to package it. You got to allow them to pay you for it, because there is oil inside of you, and somebody is willing to put a seed on it so that you can grow into something else.
Come on. Yes, Esther. Yes, come on, Natalie. Esther, like, come on. So I was even going to ask you, but you mentioned it about the Brad Bank and your elevator speech, and your why. To know these 3 things in order to push your business forward and to know who your audience is. Tell the people why it's important to, one, have a Brad Bank elevator speech, to have a why, and also to know who your audience is, because a lot of times we're trying to reach everybody, and everybody is not called to you. Everybody is not your Judah. You know what I'm saying? And so when you present yourself to the world, you're going to attract, if you know who you are, so you're going to attract those people that maybe it's women that you're called to. Maybe it's men you're called to. Maybe it's people that's foster, and foster children, or that was raised as a foster child, or whatever that case may be. You need to know these things in order to reach the people that's called to you. So tell the people, our friends, why that's important.
Well, very important. What people need to understand is we're in a day and age where people are no longer buying canned and boxed things. Back in the day, if you wanted makeup, you looked what the television was telling you to do. Back in the day, if you wanted to get your hair done, you looked at what the magazines were telling you to do. Back in the day, if you wanted to be a certain size or a certain health, you look at what the so-called professionals were telling you what to do. But these days, what people are buying is character. What they're buying is story. People want your story. People are invested, even major corporations. Warren Buffett will tell you that he doesn't just buy a stock. He wants to know who is the CEO? What's the leadership built of, right? Who is the person behind the company? Because knowing the person behind the brand, behind the mission and the vision will help you determine whether or not the company is going to last 5 years, 10 years, or if that's a company that can outlive the owner or the visionary, right? It needs to be a vision that is big enough for the many people who can come in there, right? So if somebody is buying a hair product and you want to sell your hair product, the person wants to know, how did you create this hair product? Out of all the hair products on the shelf, why should they invest in your particular hair product? Did you make it in your kitchen because you were having issues with dry scalp? Did you make it in your kitchen because your children were struggling with growing their hair? Did you make it because you couldn't afford something? It makes all the difference, because the person who's going to buy it and the person who's going to invest in you wants to know, right, that your story is powerful enough to draw the masses. Your why is usually the very paramount point of your story, and your story is the most paramount point of your vision and mission, right? Because your why is, well, why not, right? Why should I invest in you, or why not invest in you? When you tell me your why or your story, is like, well, I should not even think about nobody else when you're done, right? And when I tell people knowing your why and your story, that's pretty much your little elevator pitch. Because one thing that I didn't realize I was good at, and I've been good at for a very long time, was I was able to get someone's attention in a short period of time and be stuck in their memory long after I've left the room. And the reason for that was I was not afraid to share my story. Even though I wasn't sharing all of my story back then, I was willing to share with them why I needed the scholarship, why that scholarship would make all the difference. See, when people are kind of altruistic in a sense, right? Meaning that if I'm going to buy your product, I want to feel like I'm investing in something that is going to benefit me. People want to see themselves in you, right? If I'm going to buy your book, I'm investing in you, and I'm a part of how you became successful. And I want to make you successful because I believe in you. And when I invest in you, it's like investing in me. When I invest in you, it's like investing in the community. When I invest in you, it's like it's moving something that I believe in forward. So if you tell people what you believe in, why you believe in it, and why you are important, or what you're doing is important, and they can align with you, see themselves in you, and even believe in you, then they'll be willing to give you their money, and you don't even have to argue with them for it.
Listen, that's y'all listening out there. Those are some nuggets, okay? We have many other questions. We're going to go ahead and open up the line so you can call. Now, let me tell you something. I'm talking, so therefore just stick right there, okay? I'm going to go back over to my system to add you, but we want to open up the lines, okay? Because I'm producing all of this, okay? So do not hang up. But you...
The most talented woman in show business.
Aw, I love you for that.
You're the Beyonce of talk show.
Okay. So you talk a lot about funnels and systems, having a strategy even in your business, but also knowing how to, whatever your business is, knowing what streams to take your business to. You have help with this, but honestly, you have mastered the game of that. Even with me working with you now, you're my business coach. I love the level, I should say you're very, very strategic in what you do. Okay. And so everything have a system, everything have a funnel. So I love the spirit of excellency that you have in your organization. Tell the people why knowing the systems, having funnels, how that will grow your business.
Okay. So first off, when I started out, I didn't understand anything about systems or funnel. I understood systems because, I come from a public accounting background. And so I understand systems in that how things are supposed to flow, organizational systems. But in terms of online business, which is what I mostly do now for myself, I didn't understand the online business platforms. And so what I did was I had a system, but it was a simple system. It was people came to my events or came to an event. They reached out to me, whether they found me somewhere or another. I didn't even make it easy for people to reach out to me because I didn't know any better, right? I wasn't surrounded by people who was helping me. I had to figure this out through trial and error. And so people would reach out to me and they would say, hey, how can I work with you? And I would respond to them in an email. And if I had their email, let's say, and I had a group starting for like 25 persons, I would send an email and say, hey, I'd like to talk to you. I have an opportunity that's coming up to work with me, and let me know if you're interested. They'll say, oh, great, get on the phone with you. And so I would call them for a few minutes, and I would literally walk them through what working with me looked like. And literally, they would say, well, how do I pay you? Again, no system of payment, so it's pretty manual. And then literally, they would transfer their money, and I would coach them. And I did this, for about 3 cycles. before I actually got an automated system. And I did that and did 6 figures doing it that manual. The problem with that is that, it's just me. It was just me, no assistant, no support. I went on, I had a Vimeo account, I have a Zoom account, I have a Canva account. I have my email account that I email them through my regular old email. I was actually writing the emails myself. And I did my little PowerPoint or my notes. And that's how I created my stuff. Now, as I said, I was focusing on transformation. So the transformation that I provided was what I got paid for, right? So I didn't have nothing fancy in terms of, big fancy stuff and advertisement, but I got paid for I took person from A to point B, and they were excited. They were able to write their books, get their promotion, fix their marriages, make money, buy their houses, scale their businesses, and they were happy. Now, as I grew and I started to have my consulting business while I was coaching, I realized one person couldn't manage. So the first thing I did was got a payment system that automatically deducted funds. The next thing I realized was the emails, it just took a lot of time, right? So I got somebody to do some stuff for me, and that's how I hired Chelsea. And when she came in, she was just coming in as a copy person. But then I realized I wanted something that was more streamlined. And one of my clients, she's one of the leading partners of a major, accounting firm, and she wanted my programs for a country. So I realized I needed a system for that. Then she wanted some of my programs for some companies. So I realized I needed a set of systems that each individual or organization could log in separately and be able to track, and us be able to build them all simultaneously without me being present, and kind of be like, sleeping bag money. And so that's when we started building this robust funnel. So a funnel pretty much is, kind of like, when you're pouring in oil.
Yeah.
So the top is the largest audience. So first things first, this is your sidewalk. This is people who may or may not know you exist. It also includes people who know what the problem you solve, but they're probably not ready, as well as the people who know the problem you solve and they're ready to pay you for it. As it gets smaller, you're literally now beginning to filter out, meaning you're beginning to target your specific audience. This is your perfect customer profile, or your ideal audience, or your customer avatar. So if you have a product that's for women, up here, if there was men, all of a sudden there's no men, because the language that you'll use will begin to speak directly only to women. If you're targeting women who are coaches, again, if there are women who are hair stylists, they wouldn't even care, because you're targeting them. So the funnel begins to filter out everybody else who you don't serve. The number one reason why you want to do that is because when you think about customer service, right? If you went and you bought a product and they sold it to you so well, and then you got home and it wasn't for you because, one, you didn't know how to use it, you don't have the skills to use it, you don't have the bandwidth to use it, but because the sales was so good, they got your money. Guess what? You're going to give it a negative review, even though it's a good product.
Come on.
So you want to make sure it's the right people who want what you have, because not only do you want a good review, you want transformation, because that will give you testimonials. And also you want them to be ongoing customers, because the cheapest customer you will ever have is the one that came and kept over and over and over. So that's how you pretty much build a funnel. And so people, there are different levels of things. Like, right now I'm on Clubhouse. That's a new app, talk app. And on Clubhouse, people hear me talk. That's the top of the funnel. If they're interested in what they like, they go to the link in my Instagram bio to book a call with me. The funnel got smaller, right? And when they book a call with me, they're beginning to do a discovery to see whether or not I'm a fit for what they need, or they're a fit for what I can do. And during that, now they're narrowing themselves down, because there's a factor of price, there's a factor of time, and there's a factor of the transformation that I can give versus the transformation that they want. And when we do those filter out, then people begin to say, okay, I want to work with you, but I can't afford it now. I'll come back. Or I want to work with you, but I'm not at the level that you serve at. So let me go work on myself and come back to you. So you got to be very clear about who you can serve and why you can serve them. And then the most important thing for my more expert people is that you don't want to be for everybody, Brandy, because it's a waste of your time, right? It will burn you out if you try to be. So sometimes you got to raise your price so that the people who are at the level that you serve can come up to the level that you serve. It's kind of like how they say, raise your energy so the person can come up to the level of your energy. Because if you attract everybody, or if you try to speak to everybody, you will get no one.
Come on,
right?
You get no one.
If nothing, then you will fall for anything. And so my thing is, what kind of transformation do you want to provide? Who will be the best person to take what you have to give and make the best of it so that you can see good results and they can see good results? Because that's the fastest way to keep making money.
That's so good. And it's good nuggets as well, because I think that people get burned out so easily because they're trying to reach everyone, and they need to narrow that down. And so I love how you funnel things, because you have a system, like you said, even on Clubhouse, people like, oh, I want to work with her. They go to your Instagram, they click the link. You have that consultation with them. You even know right then and there, maybe this is not for you. Even before most of them say, okay, this is not for me. You know instantly, you're not my people, Right. And so everybody is not called to you. And so that's really, really good what you just stated. And so it's good to have a funnel. It's good to know who you are first so that you can know who you're not called to. And so that's really good. I want to ask this. During this pandemic, it was crazy. A lot of people had lost in this pandemic. And I must say, a lot of people actually took that pandemic and made fruit out of it. Okay. Made gold. And a lot of people was telling people, you're crazy to start this business in a pandemic. I know people that have multi-million-dollar companies right now within a year of the pandemic. Okay.
Yeah.
So many people going to tell you, you can't do it. It's not for you. Maybe it's not time. What do you think you doing? You're not educated enough. This is not your story. This naysayers. What would you say to the naysayers? Or what would you say to our friends when they have those naysayers, and how to get past that,
Well, first things first is, since we mostly have women on here, if you woke up and you started having cramps and your period was coming, would you ask your friend if your period's coming? That's as vivid as a thing. No, I'm serious, right? If you woke up and you had a headache, would you ask your friend if you had a headache? No, right? If you felt thirsty, and you ask your friend if you felt thirsty? If you're hungry, would you ask your friend if you're hungry? Then why is it when you have a vision that God gave you that you're going to ask somebody else? It is unique to you.
Come on.
There's no way that another person, I don't care how smart they are, how intelligent they are, how close to you, even the people who love us, they cannot tell what God has put on the inside of us unless God specifically gave it to them. Now, there are those persons who carry things for us or with us, right? That's the exception. And that is God that's specifically given it to them because he's allowing them to help you birth in the season. But for those people who are not that, then they cannot help you. Your mother can't help you. Your father can't help you. Your husband can't help you unless God give it to them. Your children can't help you. Your mentor sometimes is not equipped. Because here's the thing. Your mentor they're meant to carry you to an extent. But even a coach, I tell you all the time, Brandy, that I am not meant to tell you all the things. I can only give you so much. And I'm going to always send you back to God because I am not God. I am not God. If God says, I've had people come to me and say, hey, you know that man I divorced? God says, he's my husband. I need to go back to him. You know what I said to that person? I told you that. And they say, yeah. I said, God told you that. They say, yeah. I said, okay. Well, if God told you that, then let's do it. That's it. And if God doesn't give me any other unction that he didn't tell them, then that's all I'm doing. I don't need nothing else. And I don't think, do you have to understand this, right? Juanita just said dream killer. People are dream killer only if you perceive them as dream killer. A knife is a knife. A knife can be used to peel an orange. It can be used to cut apples. It can be used to peel a fish. A knife can be used to kill, and a knife can be used to carve and to prepare food. It's a knife. It's what you use it for. If you know that your friend is not equipped to be used to build your vision, if you know that your friend doesn't have what it takes to bring you to the next level with your vision, then you have decided to use your friend as a dream killer. You gotta have wisdom at some level. You've got to have the wisdom to say, this person is not equipped. I've had people who I respect who are here to me, and that person says they are not equipped enough. Because of their imposter syndrome told me I'm not equipped enough. And guess what? I've already decided that I'm equipped. So you might not be equipped enough, and you might think you are not. And so you ruled yourself out. So you go over there and watch me do it. You go sit right there. In fact, I'm going to give you a front row seat.
Come on.
You're not a dream killer. You just need a front row seat for me to make you a believer.
Natalie.
A front row VIP seat. And I don't want nobody in. You need a sharp view to watch me do this thing. Because you've never seen it before. It's not your fault. So I'm going to show you how it's done. So the next time somebody tells you, you can say, I saw her do it. So you need a VIP section. That's why I don't block them. That's why I don't delete them, because they need to see it being done so that they can shut up their mouth about things that they have no business speaking on.
Listen. As you was talking, girl, listen. As you was talking and even talking about the dream killers, let me tell you something about a little guy named Joseph that had a colorful coat. Okay. He told his brothers, now this was family, okay? It can be your own family that's trying to throw you in the pit, okay? So he told his brothers the dream that God had given him. And the dream interpretation was that the brothers would have to come and serve him. They would serve him, okay? Right. And so he told the brothers, and they like, who you think you is? Okay. And so they put a plot against him to throw him in a pit, and then they was going to kill him. But one brother said, no, I don't know if y'all should do that. And so therefore they sold him to the Egyptians. And so he was sold into slavery. But let me tell you something. I love those people that say what you cannot do, because all they doing is pushing you forward into your destiny. Because if it had not been for the brothers throwing him in the pit, he would not have been the second in command after Pharaoh over the entire land and country. And so listen, then the brothers, the same people, had to come back, and he had to feed them because it was a drought years later. And so I love it when people say what you cannot do, so that you and God can show them what you can do. Okay. And so I love it. Sign up for my course
who spoke against me. I've had people sign up for my program. I've coached people who spoke against me. I've had people who spoke against me in high school come for me to coach them. I've had people who actually helped to turn people against me.
Wow.
I've helped them build their business, because what people need to do is we need to, first of all, stop taking things so personal. We need to stop backstabbers, and everybody is just doing their job. They're just doing their job, right? You just need to decide where you want to put your focus, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody's just playing their role, right? I don't go into, can you imagine you tell somebody in a movie, that's in a movie as an extra, as a hater, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe you played a role as a hater. They're just doing their job. That's what they got paid. They're just doing their job.
Come on now.
How are you going to have a great script? How are you going to have a great testimony without a test? How are you going to have a great trial with somebody without a protagonist? You need a protagonist. You need somebody going against you. You need some kind of plot twist. Everybody want a miracle, but nobody want a near-death experience. Everybody want a miracle, but everybody always want a refrigerator filled.
Come on.
Everybody want a miracle, but nobody want no problem so big that it looked impossible. Everybody wants possibilities. They're like, there's no such thing as impossible because everything is possible. Then how the heck are you going to get a miracle? It had to be impossible first. Somebody had to say no first. Somebody else. I want people to say it can't be done. I want people to not want to do it. Because the more people don't want to do what I want to do, is the more I can charge for it. Is the more I'm worth when I solve the problem. I want problems that nobody else wants. Because the more people don't want those problems, then I can become the expert that focus on that area. I hear people complain all the time that I'm at work and they're so unorganized. I had a young lady said to me, I'm believing God to own a business. I said, yes, that sounds good. I said, what kind of business? Well, I don't know, but I want to be an entrepreneur. I said, okay, tell me what you're expert at. And she said, well, I'm not expert at anything. I said, well, tell me what you do. She said, well, I work at this company and I do blah, blah, blah. And then the most noise she made was to tell me what was wrong with the company. I said, wow, it sounds like you're sitting on a business idea. She said, no, you see, that's what's wrong with the company and they need to fix it. I said, sounds like you have an opportunity. She said, no, you see, until they fix it and nobody will be able to. I said, wow, that sounds pretty expensive. I said, do they get consultants to come in? She said, yes, but that's the problem. The consultants are so unorganized. I said, wow, that sounds like you could make a lot of money. And she said, well, but I don't know because this and that. I said, well, you know what? You don't want a business.
You don't.
You want to complain.
Come on.
You want to complain. You want to quit your job and then you want to go home and cry to God about how you paid your tithe and your offering and you've been waiting for him to give you a business, but the whole time he's been giving you an opportunity. You're busy complaining about it. If you want to quit your job and send them a contract telling them how you can fix their disorganization because you have a way to solve their problem. But don't sit on here complaining about something that you could be making coins on because you just want God to give you something simple and easy.
And that's self-sabotaging. That's what you call self-sabotage. You're sabotaging yourself. Nobody have to do it for you. Nobody have to do it for you. You're doing it for yourself when you have self-doubt, the imposter syndrome. And then you want to murmur and complain like the children of Israel. That's why you're just going to stay on in the wilderness and you cannot reach your promised land because you're self-sabotaging your own self. You're murmuring and complaining about everything that's going on, but you can be the problem solver. You may be the problem solver. So Tiphani Montgomery have this famous saying that I love. It hit me actually in 2016 at a Millions conference. And she said, make God your CEO. And that hit me like, oh, that's duh. The Lord should be the head of my business. I should seek him for consultation before I do anything. And you're really big on also, which I love too, were getting up and giving God all the glory, seeking God in the morning, having your devotional times, speaking biblical affirmations to yourself. And so you really big on making God your CEO, your chief executive officer. Tell the people why it's important, even though I know, but some people don't know that. They think, oh, I got to separate my business, from God. God over here, my business over here. And no, God should be your CEO of your business. Right.
God is my insurance plan.
Come on.
That's my insurance. It's my absolute insurance. I mean, you wouldn't buy a house without a roof. You wouldn't buy a car without tires. You wouldn't buy a car without engine. You know what I mean? You wouldn't go into a relationship with somebody who already had, a couple of days to live. So why would you have a business without God? God is my insurance plan. To be honest, I suffered almost my whole life with anxiety, and mornings felt bleak. I couldn't go through 1 hour without having extreme ranges of emotions. And it wasn't until I started regulating myself, spirit regulating in the mornings, that I don't have anxiety. I'm not on medication.
Come
I've
on.
never been on medication. I actually went on medication once, and that thing is not for human beings. Somebody else maybe, but not for me. I almost died. I mean, everything went wrong the same day. I went on, I came back off of it. That thing almost had me off the chain. So I found that I do not function if I don't wake up and meditate and pray and visualize. And, I cannot function at all.
Yeah.
I, I don't know how to function at all. It's like waking up and having breakfast. I can go without breakfast,
Come on.
but I cannot go without filling up. It's almost, and I actually do it going to bed and I do it coming out. So I go in and I come out that way.
Yeah.
And there are moments that I have to ground myself. Like if things start to get a little bit crazy in the house with the kids, or if somehow something happened, I literally will unplug everything, shut down everything, find one space and just saturate it in the Holy Spirit and get lost in that place. If I don't care who it is. If I need to anoint my shower and run that thing warm and get it there, I literally just stand there and I just wait. Or I go in the toilet and I sit there.
That's my favorite place for worship.
Or I go in the closet and I just stand there. I mean, literally, I just stand there. My kids will be looking at me like, what are you doing? And I just stand there and I just wait. I literally wait upon the Lord for almost everything. People see me and they have no idea. Like I can give you practical strategies, but I can tell you that everything about my business is spiritual. Even the practical strategies come from spiritual. I'm okay with silence. Like I will literally just lay there in silence and I will wait. I will wait for the word. Most of the thing that came out of my mouth tonight, I cannot tell you that I've not literally really thought about anything with the exception of 2 points. I literally go into my realm and I just allow the Lord to just flow. And I trust anything that comes out, whether I'm writing, I'm speaking, I just flow because I don't trust me. When I allowed myself to choose, I chose wrong. When I allowed myself without God to choose, I chose death and not life. When I allowed myself and not God to choose, I chose wrong and not right. When I allowed myself and not God to choose, I chose small. When I allowed myself and not God to choose, I chose limited mindset. When I allowed myself and not God to choose, I chose the back and not the front. Everything that you're seeing now has nothing to do. I would not be on this. I would not be coaching y'all. I would not be in this large house. I would not be as free as I am now. I would not even be this confident. Everything that you're seeing is God and less of me, to be honest. So every day I have to fill up. I don't know about anybody else. For some people, they drink, and to be honest, recently I have even stopped drinking wine for a period because I wanted to, because I realized I started to have a habit of every night I had a glass of wine. And I started to realize that was a habit because sometimes I would be going to bed, it was just there. I wake up, it was there, and I didn't even drink it. So I realized it was kind of becoming this routine. And I started to check on myself, and I said to myself, why has this become my routine?
Yeah.
And so I started to.
It's important that I tell people all the time that I don't drink because let me tell you something about me. I'm already on another level, right? I don't need nothing else. I don't need no extra.
Right,
okay?
right.
And so I'm already on another level, but it's something about purifying and it removes anything that's in the way between you and God when it's you and God, right? And so you don't need extra. Because if you just remove everything, even food, you know what I'm saying? If you just remove everything, that's what fasting is. Just purify and cleanse so that you can really hear God. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's, like you said, I just found myself not even doing that because it's like, you know what? You and God, that's all you need. You know what I'm saying? He is that extra dose that you need.
Right.
One thing that I want
to give a shout out real quick. To Tarisha Gilmore. She put a seed on this message. She sowed a seed on Cash App.
Wow.
Because is into this message to shout out to
Come on,
Tarisha.
shout out to Tarisha Wade. Come on.
Yes.
She said, I just
My
had to sow a
goodness.
seed to you. You preaching tonight. Come
My
on.
God.
All right. See,
Wow.
that's what I'm saying. And I pray that seed multiply 100-fold in your life, Tarisha,
Amen.
because sometimes we don't know. And it's good to sow seed on good ground. So you don't even know what you're about to encounter because you decided to obey God. And we don't even do the Cash App one here, the spoken truth, just the spoken truth. But for you to sow a seed into her life, I pray that God multiply it 100,000-fold in your life. So let me say this. You guys, the lines is open. You can go ahead and call. We're going to take a couple of calls in. You can ask her any questions. Let me tell you something. You want to call in to talk to this woman of God. Dealing with business is so imperative. And self-care, because you're real big on self-care as well. And I think when we, business women and men, we tend to not taking care of ourselves. We so busy taking care of each other and not ourselves. And like you said, I have to stab back. I get in the shower. I go to a place of peace, because if not, you'll lose it. Okay? You will lose it if you do not have self-care. I mean, I gotta have it. Sometimes I just shut myself in the bathroom. My kids don't, well, I'll take that back. My son Joel, Mom, he'll knock on that door. But however, I have to take self-care. I have to take care of myself. I have to kind of push away from everything just to have focus. And we do that once a month. So it's very imperative. So call in, you guys, into our number 516-418-5757. You definitely want to ask her a question, okay, when it comes to business. As you can see, I don't even have to market her. She did that all by herself. So call in. So let me ask you this. You have a coaching program, which I'm a part of. And LAS, Life Architect Society, is in the building, okay? And you also have helped many businesses, okay? Multi-million-dollar businesses. You actually worked on Wall Street, which is full of men, mostly men on Wall Street. So you have a experience in the marketplace, but you decided to have a coaching program, okay, to help people like myself, which is off the chain. We learn so much. She actually give more than what we pay for. Truly, okay? And she worked with us at least 3 days a week. And also one-on-one calls and coaching, which I'm going to have all that information in the description. You can actually contact her for a 15-minute consultation. Please do it now, because she's booked, and sooner or later you would not be able to have the 15-minute consultation, but you definitely want to. 15 minutes with her, I was outdone. Okay, and my cousin actually did 15-minute consultation with her, and she was outdone. Actually, I called her and she was crying, laying on the floor, crying out to God. And so, for real, God has really used her to birth people in business. She is a business midwife. And so how did the coaching program come about? Because, I mean, you have, helped multi-million-dollar companies, but you decided to have a coaching program. Tell us about it.
Right. Okay, so coaching is definitely a big part of my purpose. I have tried to not coach, but it's kind of impossible. Actually, people who worked with me on Wall Street, when I went to visit a few friends of mine on my way to my clients, because I have a lot of international clients pre-COVID. And so traveling to my client, I would, sometimes fly through different cities to spend time with people I haven't seen for a long time. And some of my friends from Wall Street, they were saying, wow, you've always been a coach, right? When you were on Wall Street, or even with Ernst & Young, they said when we had clients that nobody wanted to deal with, they were impossible. We couldn't get any information out of them. They were literally not willing to do anything. Not only did you get information out of them, they gave you stuff that nobody else had access to. They taught you how to access their system. They invited you to their baby shower. They invited you to their house. They took you out to lunch, and they would buy you presents and love on you. And they literally knew your name. And even when I did auditing, I was the only auditor that they didn't call the auditor. They called me by my name.
Wow.
And so looking back, I've always been a coach. But quick story, in 2013, I found out that my foster mom, the first foster mom, the one that passed, June Daly, she was diagnosed. She had something on her brain at the time, a tumor. And at the time, my son was in boarding school in Jamaica, the oldest son, who's now 21. He was in boarding school in Jamaica. He was not doing well. He was literally doing everything to just fail. And so he had chosen not to be in the US with us at the time. He wanted to stay in Jamaica for school. And so I went back to get him. And when I went back to get him, there was a business that I had signed up for. At the time, it was network marketing. And I signed up because I wanted to travel, because I was making money, but I didn't have a lot of fun. And when I got to Jamaica, I realized Jamaica was one of the most beautiful places where people, most of the people didn't have money and they didn't have fun. And I thought to myself, what if I launched this company here and I showed Jamaicans how to make US dollars in Jamaica so that they could enjoy one of the most beautiful places in the world, Jamaica. Wow. And so I started on that mission. 30 days of no was my first thing. 30 days, I got no's from everybody. And when I said people who needed this opportunity, they told me no. On the 29th to 30 day, I actually was getting ready to go back to the United States because I did not want to be in this country. I did not want to help these people who did not want my help. I was over it. And my spiritual mother, May Anderson, she had a prayer session that we do on Saturdays. And so I literally fell into a deep sleep. It was as if I was going to miss that session. And then all of a sudden I woke up, right? I woke up literally right when the session was supposed to be done. Let's say the session was supposed to be done 3 o'clock. I woke up 3 o'clock. And so I reached out and I called her son and I was very apologetic. I was like, oh my God. And then he's like, it doesn't make any sense to come. And something in me said, get in the car and go now. I didn't do anything. I just got in the car and I drove to where she was. And when I got there, I got out of the car and I walked up a hill and they were in a section. And apparently as soon as I walked inside to where they were, the whole room started to cry. They were actually in dismissal. But it's as if the pain that I was carrying, they all felt it immediately. All of the intercessors picked me up in the realm of the spirit and they started to wail. Wow. And immediately I went into labor, spiritual labor. And so somebody brought forward a word and said, you're trying to leave this country with something that God gave you for this country and you cannot leave. And I was angry because I'm like, I tried my best to give it to the people, but nobody wants it. I'm leaving. And so they kept saying whatever. By that day, somebody called me who I'd spoken to and said, hey, come back. I got somebody for you to talk to. And then I went and then somebody else called me and I showed up, this friend, this young man and with his 3 friends. One of them said yes. The rest of them said yes as a result of one. And by the end of that 2 days, we had 14 persons say yes. And then 30 days later, we had close to 30 something. And then 3 months later, we had hundreds. So I knew I couldn't leave the country by then, right? And in order for me to build this organization, I had to coach them. And so that's how I became the coach. And they started calling me coach. They literally started calling me coach. So I was walking in it. I wasn't being paid for it. So to build the organization, most of these people did not have any business acumen. They didn't understand what it was to own a business, to build a business. They didn't understand how to present. They didn't understand how to write. So I was teaching them about vision boarding. I was teaching them about how they could write their vision and manifest it. So what I did was I identified one person in the group that I could use. And I think that was the Lord, to be honest, that gave me the one person that I could use to make an extreme case out of. Wow. And this was a young man who had similar story to mine. He was homeless. He was in college. He wasn't really doing well because he didn't have anywhere to stay because he came from a very rough neighborhood. And I remember I said to him, will you not give me your vision? And it took 2 months. He eventually gave it to me. And I worked his business without his permission until he was making $4,000 a week. And so what happened was when he finally gave me his sheet with his vision, in 30 days, he was making way more than me. He was making about $8,000 to $10,000.
Natalie, wow.
I'm not kidding you. And then this young man, he got his BMW. He was driving around Jamaica. He was getting checks going into the bank with $25,000 check, US dollar check. And people were like, this must be a scam. So then the next thing is he got a house on the hill, because exactly what he had written up on the list, we started to manifest directly. And so people now started to believe. And so we had a crew of us driving Mercedes and BMWs and getting houses. And I mean, this was in a matter of a year. But we started to do personal development. So I started to do seminars. And then I would literally start on people's verandas, or what y'all call porches, porches. And we would literally not have enough space. And then we would get little rooms in colleges, and then we wouldn't have enough space. And then we would get lecture halls, and people would wait outside to get in. And then one day I said to them, what is the largest space we have in Kingston? And they said it was the Jamaica Conference Center. And then I literally drove to the Jamaica Conference Center the same day that the car I was driving got repossessed, because it wasn't even my car. Anyway, it got repossessed. I got a Mercedes 2 weeks later. But the same day I drove to the Jamaica Conference Center to see the space. And it was very large, sis. And then I said, this is it. This is where we're going to do our training every 2 weeks. I started filling up that place with 14 to 1,600 people every 2 weeks, 4 to 6 hour training. So what God did was, when I would do these seminars for free almost, because they were paying like $10 US to come in.
Wow.
So pretty much it was free. And I would fly people in from all over the world, because I had imposter syndrome. So I would train everybody else. I wouldn't always be at the front. And so what happened is, God had me listening to the people. And I realized I could teach them about money. I could teach them about vision. I could teach them about business. But people were coming to me about abortion. They were coming to me about marital issues. They were coming to me about mindset issues. They were coming to me about trauma. And so I realized what they needed wasn't just business. They needed spiritual healing. So instead of me doing it, I had imposter syndrome. I brought my spiritual mother. I brought my spiritual brother. We would bring people. So for 2 hours every day before we did coaching session, I would do church. And so what happened is, I got to a place of an issue, because I don't know how to run a church. And before you know it, I had a full-blown church with like 200 to 300 people that were coming to church. They would come, they would take, we would do a little communion, we would do altar calls, we would ceremonials, we would have people coming, and people were coming and they were getting healing, and it was just beautiful. And then in the evening for 4 hours, they would train on business and whatnot. So then I went and I saw Bishop Jakes did a call on Instagram, and he said he had 2 spots left, because the day before I was praying to God, and I said, the people I know in ministry didn't understand business, and the people in business didn't know God. And I needed somebody who understood business and ministry. And so when he did that, I went into his program. And to be honest, when I went there, for 2 to 3 years, I went in there and I just felt like they were teaching, but it wasn't for what God was bringing me for. So I'd signed up with Tony Robbins. I saw his program, and it was a good program, but it wasn't what God was bringing me for. And so God allowed me to develop my own program. He stripped me of my house, my car, my business. He allowed people to rise up against me, and he allowed my attempt at sleeping pills to not work. And the day when I woke up, he said, now, are you ready to go to work? And I sat down for 90 days and I wrote the Life Architect Complete Methodology. And that's how a Life Architect Complete Methodology was built from scratch, using me. And the first person in the program, so he used me to prove the program. And people could literally see the transformation in 90 days in my life. And that program was making thousands of dollars on the first group. And then he said, now put it down and now go back to work on your family. So he moved me to the United States. And then Esther, who is on here, reached out to me and she said, are you still coaching? And I said, no. And she said, well, I found you on the internet. I went to something with your ex, and that's not who's supposed to coach me. And my husband and I are coaching. Are you willing to coach? And I said, no, but I will help you. And so I literally was helping her and another young lady who was also on here. And I didn't want to coach. And he pulled me right back into coaching.
Wow. Listen, that's a powerful story. Look how God birthed you in such a time as that. And Miriam said, she said he allowed he stripped me of, he used me to write my own program. Like, so he allowed you to do it, but he stripped you because that's what produces the anointing, the pressing. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people, they can do things, but you can tell they are not anointed to do it because I guess it's another realm of going through that they need in order to appreciate God, in order to appreciate, the truth, in order to appreciate the people that they're called to, in order to really produce the fruit, they have to go through some. It's like, you just need a little bit more pressing.
But it's kind of like David, right? He called me out from what I was already doing. I'd been coaching when I was out there with the sheep. I'd been coaching when I was out there battling the lions and the bears. And he called me out of the anointing. Then he sent me back there. And then he used me to serve other people in obscurity. And then he sent me back there. And then he allowed me to go into places so I could serve the person who I would replace. Serve the people and listen to the people who he'd use me to build something different. Because what they were doing was for a group of people, but what I was about to do was for a different type of people. He was raising up a different type of leader, that one that was going to have a different type of integrity, that one that was going to walk with a different level of authenticity, one that was going to be so wild and bold that we didn't care what the numbers were. We would serve in obscurity and build things that look crazy until the people who were called to us came.
My God. So, wow. So listen, guys, I'm on for a few minutes. You can call in and then we're going to wrap it up. But I got to ask you a couple of questions. I couldn't leave these out. Many entrepreneurs out there, they feel like they hitting a ceiling. They not seeing growth in their business, Natalie. They're struggling to really push their business. And they feel like giving up. There's entrepreneurs right now feel like giving up. I even feel it right now that they're like, I cannot do this. What recommendations you would give to them in order to, one, rather push their business, or maybe it ain't the business for them, or to grow their business? What recommendations will you give those young entrepreneurs?
Oh, you're going to be mad at this. Go ahead and give up. They need to go ahead and give up. Give up what they've been doing because it's not working. They need to give up the business to God. They need to give up the attitude that they've been using. They need to give up the strategy that they've been applying. They need to give the whole thing up. Don't stop thinking about giving up. Just give up. Give up the whole thing to God. Because the thing is, the minute you bury it and cover it and then surrender it, then he comes into play. If you keep struggling with the thing, then you're going to keep struggling with it. You can't ask God to do something for your business and fight for your business. This whole thing of, let me tell you, I'm going to be really honest with you. Every time I try to manage things and control things and manipulate things, that's when nothing works. Every time I surrender, I woke up this morning and I wrote a list of, I'm so happy and so grateful now that this. I got on the phone and started to make the call. And you know what the man said to me? I hear you, but no. And you know what? I was like, how dare you? And I started to feel offended. And then I sat back and I said, oh, but why am I offended? If God says that's what I'm going to get, it doesn't matter what that man says. So he's either going to take my money and do it the way it's supposed to be done, or it's going to be done for free and he won't have it. So the thing is, give up the struggling, give up the frustration, give up the manipulation, give up the idea that you can outwork your bad habits. Give up your bad habits. This idea that you're going to build something and you literally have not even given it enough time for it to grow. Like, why do you think that the law of process is not going to work for you? Why do you think about the law of sowing and reaping is not going to work? Who do you think you are that the law of sowing and reaping would ignore you? You don't think that that God will honor your sowing? You think that you have to go down in the earth and drag the tree out? No. Have we ever that work? Have we ever buried a seed and then go back out there and be like, yo, seed, what's up? You good? Have we ever planted a seed in our own youth? I know that said 40 weeks, but I have plans. You coming out or what? We don't do it to our babies. We don't do it to the trees. We don't do it to the birds. We don't do it to winter, summer, spring, or fall. So why can't we just trust God with the process of our business? Did God give you the business? Did God give you the vision? Or are you just doing it because you saw somebody else doing it? If God gave you the vision, if God gave you those kids, if God gave you that God gave you that ministry, why are you worried? Why can't you just, I'm not gonna lie, I cry sometimes. I'm like, God, this is tough. God, today was rough, but I give it back to him. God, oh, God, what do you give me these kids for, God? I give it back to him. I said, God, oh, you give me this big vision, and I'm looking at this vision, and I'm looking at this budget, and it's just not adding up. And I give it back to him. And you know what? He always give me back a strategy. He always give me back a promise. He always give me back an increase. He always give me back some prosperity. He always gives me back more than I gave to him. I give to him. Listen, I'll give to God. Listen, God. Oh my God, I can't believe it. This February was my lowest performing month. And you know what God gave me? February was your most profitable month. Your revenue wasn't as big, but it was your highest level of profitability. God will make you profitable in your lowest revenue driven month. So you have to understand that God don't need you. He just needs you to work. He just needs you to sow the seed. He just needs you to stand in place. He just needs you to do exactly what he tells you to do, and for you to trust. Stop trying to make it work. This idea that we're gonna fight. Well, even when sometimes when I see people praying, and I'm like, why are you fighting with the Holy Spirit? Why are you wrestling with the Holy Spirit? Jesus said it is finished. He said that greater is he who is in us than he who is in the world. He said that we will do greater than he did. He said that there comes a Holy Spirit who has come to be with us, and he will do more than he did when he was here. Why are we wrestling? Why can't we just accept things as they are? Why can't we just surrender? Why can't we just trust that if it didn't happen, that is already happened, and maybe we just need to change our mindset. Maybe we need to just change our perspective. Maybe we just need to tune into the right station. Maybe you're not even plugged in, sis. If you're not plugged in, how are you going to get the currency? If you're with the same people who say the same thing, how are you going to get a different word? If you keep only plugging into the same places, when was the last time you bought a new book? When was the last time you went to get a coach? When was the last time you slept for 8 hours? Why are you up 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hours and expecting God to give you something that he's waiting for you to go to sleep so he can put it inside of you? We need to stop it. We need to stop thinking that we can manipulate God into success. When success already is, all we got to do is surrender.
All we got to do. Wow. All I can say is wow. Because you said enough in a nutshell, especially why are we warring with the Holy Spirit? Why are we, we're doing way too much, and if we allow God to come in, see, because we're trying to do it on our own, because sometimes we think we God, we think we the Holy Spirit. Sit down. Let God do it. Let God take over. You know what I'm saying? Have several stadium seats. Have them. Sit down. Okay? Because we're trying to do way too much, and all we got to do is surrender. Okay, God, here. Because his yoke is easy and his burden is light. And so when the last time you sat down with God, which is your CEO, and say, okay, God, what's next? What do I need to do? When the last time that you really called on him and shut down and just fasted and prayed and allowed God to enter in, to allow God to remove all the obstacles? Because he can move a mountain. He can. But when the last time you depended on him and not your little smart self? Your little smart dumb self. Because if you were smart, you'll say, okay, God, here, I give it to you. I can't. And so that's really good, sis, what you just said. And many of them, they was typing away, my nieces in the building. So I have to ask you this. Finances is really important for those business owners. Okay. It's so important. Budgeting, making sure you know what's coming in and what's coming out. And so you is writing a book. almost published, and it's an ebook. Okay. And so you are very, very, very good in finances. I mean, that's, you went to school for that. And I have heard you break down finances. I had a call with you, and it was so amazing because God really used you. And you're writing a finance ebook. And can you tell the people why it's important to have management in your finances and steward well, and why it's essential to a business and starting a business? And talk about your ebook.
Okay. Well, first of all, I think Christians, including myself, we lack discipline. We lack patience because we don't understand timing. And many of us who are chasing after wealth would actually be more patient if we understand what we had in our hands, right? And so a lot of us, we are waiting, we're chasing after the 6-figure, we're chasing after the 7-figure, we're chasing after the next, but we're not here in the now. And so for me, when I started to pay attention to what did I have in my hand, I started to realize I was asking God for more when I wasn't even a good steward of what I had now. And I'm talking simple things. There were years in starting over since 2017 that I thought I had a little bit, because technically what I got on paper didn't seem like a lot. But when I sat down and did the numbers with how much money flowed through me, it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. But technically on paper, it didn't seem like a lot, because I'm looking at it and I'm spending it. I'm looking at it, I'm spending it, but I wasn't accounting for it. And because I know, and that's what accounting is that there's a space in time that we're accounting, we're taking an account for what is there. And because I wasn't accounting for it, it was like water just flowing through. How much water flowed through the river today? I don't know, because it was just flowing. Right? And so some of us, we want God's grace to flow through us. We want God's finances to flow through us. But God wants us to take a snapshot as where we're at. So we know just how much power we have.
Yeah.
For instance, your husband is an engineer, and he can tell you, if I am checking, if I'm building a house, and if I'm putting too much currency in a wall, or if I'm pushing something like a fan in a wall that requires a lot of power, and it's not enough set up in the house, I can blow all the fuse in the house, right? Because it's not aligned. And some of us are looking for more. We're trying to plug in and we're trying to pull more, but our finances are not structured for more, or discipline is not structured for more, or mindset is not structured for more, or household is not structured for more. Some of us don't even realize that last year, $500 went through our account that we didn't even initiate. And I'm that person too. Last year, I said that number specifically because that happened to me last year, even with watching my finance as much as I do as a hawk. Because one card that I had not been using, somehow a system got on my card, and $500, they just fished it off. $500.
Wow.
Because I don't use the card, so I'm not watching it, because I don't have to pay for it because I'm not using it, right? And God said, are you accounting? Just like you account for your children. Just like some of us, we account for who's on Facebook. We account for who posted on Instagram. We account for how many likes we got. We account for how many comments we got. But you haven't even accounted for what your credit score. You haven't even accounted for what you did with the amount of money you made. You talking about, God, I'm believing you for more. Let the wealth of the wicked come in for the righteous. No, sweetie pie, you the wicked. Because you done taken what God gave you and you did not use it properly. I don't care if you tithe. I don't care if you tithe. Because if you would account for what you had, you would realize even at making $30-something thousand a year, you were positioned to become a millionaire. I had a young lady who makes about $40-something thousand a year. We were going through the numbers together, and she was spending about $1,500 a year on car expenses, 2 cars, insurance, and gas. I said, sweetie pie,
You're spending more on car than you are on your mortgage. We need to restructure that. She said, well, she laughed and she chuckled and she said, well, Natalie, you know, I'm young and just want to have a little fun and whatnot. I said, you aren't young. I said, I was 28 years old when I had my last child. I'm 38 years old right now. My child is about to be 9 years old this month. And truth be told, if I had only saved $400 a month since he was born, next year, this month, I would have saved $48,000. $48,000, saving $400 a month from the day my son was born for 10 years. That's even if I just buried it in my backyard. Now, if I took simple interest, I'd probably have about $96,000. But if I was putting it into some kind of instrument, compounding interest every single month, at least 8% with the market growth, I would at least have somewhere in the $100,000 to $300,000. But I didn't do anything of the sort. Now, you don't know what you don't know, Brandy. But when you do know something different, you got to do different. The Bible says, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. The devil has been telling you that you need to quit your job and go start a business. But the truth is, when you start a business, you are more exposed. So you got to start managing your money while you still have a job. Do you have an emergency fund? Last year, Brandy, a lot of people within the first month of COVID, in March of last year, when the country was declared closed in the United States and all across the world was declared closed, a lot of people were ready to go into foreclosure. They were ready to go into eviction notice. They were ready to go into bankruptcy. Why? We have not been managing our money. We have no emergency fund. And the people who had emergency fund, the media has never told them how to schedule an emergency fund. How much money do you need in order for you to be covered by your family? What about insurance? A lot of people have insurance, but they don't even understand the different types of insurance. And so the insurance company take advantage of them. And so when something happens, if they don't die, they're not protected. If somebody dies, they're not protected. They don't know how to put people's name on it and all of that. People have businesses and they don't put things in place to make sure that when they die, their business will be covered, that their family will be automatically paid. Do you know that if you have a house, you need to have insurance to cover that house so that if you die, your children are not inherited a mortgage, but they're inheriting a house free and clear of mortgage? And do you know you can actually take out insurance so that if you die, that your children inherit a house? Plus, they will inherit something that will pay the taxes on your will. So you don't have to worry about the will taking up all of the money or, consumption taxes for people in Jamaica, right? There's lots of strategies that are in place. When God said he's going to take the wealth of the wicked and store it up for the righteous, you got to know how the wicked play this game. You got to know the game, the strategy of how to build your finances. Do you know that Andrew Carnegie has been dead for decades? And do you know that last year, Andrew Carnegie's family earned off of Andrew Carnegie's original money more than $3 billion by the first quarter of the year? Andrew Carnegie, he's been dead for decades. Do you know that Michael Jackson last year, because of his assets, no, it doesn't mean that you have to have a music career. You can literally build assets that are income producing assets long after you're dead. Do you know that from the grave, you can continue to teach your children how to manage by putting trust together, trust that are irrevocable trust that your children cannot mess with? Do you know that the first generation of wealth is usually lost after the second generation? Because usually children are ill-equipped to manage it. Do you know that credit, most people are paying more for things because they have bad credit, and bad credit is something that can be fixed in a matter of 6 months?
You teach
But we don't know what we don't know because we are not speaking about it. We are so busy having so many conversations, and I think it's time that we make conversations about wealth become so simple that our children can talk about it at the lunch table, so that we can talk about it at the dinner table, so that we can talk about it with our friends. Brandy and I were talking about how do we vacation without paying for it. We were literally comparing notes about which credit cards we have, right? That's the kind of conversation you can talk about. There are people out there, Brandy, I'm not going to call any name, who literally, because they don't look like us, is teaching our people not to use debt. They're like, well, to be lender and not a borrower. Do you know a lender and not a borrower? Do you know that the banks are the biggest borrowers? Do you know that the government is the biggest borrower? So do you know that you can do what is called leverage? You can use other people's money, other people's time, other people's effort. That's how they built slavery. How are we going to make money or slave if we don't know how to use leverage? If you don't have discipline, then how can you leverage? Because every time you get money, you're going to think about all the way to spend it. Do you know that everybody, Brandy, that got a check from the government for a stimulus, do you know that all the stimulus money that came out, whether it came to your house or not, ended up to the wealthy family? Do you want to know why? Because the first thing we did was consume it. We put it to a mortgage. How many of our families own mortgage company? We put it to paying rent. How many of our families own rent income producing businesses? We bought groceries. How many of us own grocery stores? We went out and bought new cars. How many of us are producing cars? We need to get ourselves in position that we own the companies that we're using, or we buy the stocks of these companies that we're leveraging their effort, their businesses, their idea. Do you know that most wealthy people are not as intelligent? Most wealthy people are not as talented. Do you know that the wealthiest people are not the smartest people? They just knew how to. They knew how to leverage your money, how to leverage your savings, how to leverage your finances, how to leverage you and your kids' skills, how to leverage you going to school, taking out a college loan, and you're paying them for a college loan to go work for them, so that your children can come up and do the same to go work for them, so that you can buy a house and pay them for the rest of your life. Or you could learn how to manage your finances.
So this is why you have a financial ebook. Yes. Listen, y'all need to do me a favor. You need to follow Natalie on Instagram, Winning Natalie, and Facebook, Natalie S. Taylor. You need to connect with her. You need to, one, click the link in her bio of her Instagram. And one, you need to go ahead and be on a waiting list for the financial ebook, because it will be out when, Natalie?
It'll be out at the end of this month. We are actually done with the ebook, but what I decided to do was add profiles of individuals who look different, who look like us, but they have different situations. Maybe they're married, maybe they're single, maybe they have more money, maybe they have less money, maybe they have great credit, maybe they have bad credit. I wanted you to see all different persons and see the strategy that each family is using to go in the same direction of living a financially free life and building wealth, regardless of how much money they have.
So this is why you need to be on that book. It's very transparent. It's real. You're going to see real lives, okay, of people, like she said, rather struggling or rather have A+ credit, rather have lower credit, rather have this type of debt, these many credit cards. And so you need to go right now. Go ahead, go in her bio and go ahead and get on that waiting list. It's going to be so needed, okay, because we do not know. And like I said, like she said before, there's people out there saying you don't need credit cards. I am going to tell you right now, I am a credit card owner, multiple. And here's why. You have to be disciplined. You cannot just spend. So if you're that type of person that you're not disciplined, don't get a credit card. But if you're the type of person that you are disciplined, you need the credit card. One, it's going to increase your credit score. And then two, you can go anywhere for free. You use your rewards, okay? This is what they do. And so we need to make sure that we have it, that we can leverage this type of, I can say money, but also points, rewards, and all of that to live a blessed life, okay? You can fly free. You can do a lot of things free when you have those benefits. So check out her ebook to learn the strategy, because she have it all there. You heard her talk about finances. She light up when she talk about finances, as you can see. Okay, you see how she lit up? I mean, she ripped it. It was on fire. Okay, okay? Because she's a mastermind in it. God has given her the grace to teach on this, and she's been through it all. I mean, she's very transparent. She's been through it all. She have lost it all. She have made millions. She have lived in major homes and big homes and all of that, then lose it all, and then God giving it back to her. And so she know it all. So it's not that she don't have the skills and abilities. She also have the experience, okay? And so definitely go ahead and be on the waiting list for that ebook. She is giving 15-minute consultations. I don't know how long, because she's a businesswoman and she's a busy woman. And so therefore, go ahead and reach out to her, business only. Don't just reach out to her and say, hey girl, no, okay? She don't have time for that. Nobody got time for that. You reach out to her if you just want to know a little bit more on how to birth that baby, or you just need a consultation on what's going on with you. She's able to call it down and let you know if she's able to help you. And so we are a part of Life Architect Society. Is off the chain. Many of us is on this line right now. It's a community of people where we lift each other up, we push each other, and we also support each other. And we're learning different skills and abilities. Like, we actually have courses within each other, teaching and training what we know to each other. So we have writers, we have real estate agents, we have people that are, have books, we have people that have different large companies, work at government contracts, nonprofit organizations, all of the above. I mean, we have different type of people that's in this program that's producing fruit, okay? And so she's just not saying what she's saying, she's living it, because I'm even a part of it. And so I know the fruit that come with it. So listen, go ahead and follow her. I will also have the link in the description on if you want to go ahead and have a 15-minute consultation, or you can go on Instagram and click the link in the bio, but we'll have all that information. Listen, Natalie, you were so off the chain. You always coming with it. The nuggets are dropped so profound in different areas of your life to give to others. It's just profound, okay? And so thank you so much, sis, for joining us. Do you have anything else you want to say to the people?
No, I just want to say thank you. I'm just sitting here smiling because you're a woman of honor. I've served many persons' platform, and usually they get you in, they take, and then they get you out. But you always take the time to edify, to uplift, to create space, to celebrate, and to also promote. So I just wanted to say thank you, because you not only do that for me, you do that across the board. It's consistently who you are. So I just wanted to declare a blessing upon this talk show that, eyes have not seen and ears have not heard, neither have it entered into the hearts of men and women what God is about to do for you because of the heart that you have for God's people. That you are on here, the Spoken Talk Show is going to bring so much light and truth to people's life, that people are going to be able to walk in the power that God has put on the inside of them, because you are walking in that, because of your obedience, that God is going to continue to pour into your vessel, and you won't even have room to receive it. So I thank God for the people who are coming alongside you, the people who are already there, like your amazing husband and your cousin and your niece and your sons, and the other people who are going to come, students. You're on here talking, but you haven't even told the people that while you're doing a talk show, you're getting ready to teach other people how to do their own talk show, how to create their own program, because you don't do this just for you. You're doing it for the kingdom. You have created a space to enlarge God's kingdom, to edify God's kingdom, to edify God's people. And you're willing to teach people the tips and tricks of what you do. You do it so effortlessly, and people don't even know. Like, I look at your production, and it's high level production, child. I'm looking at you over there, well lit. I'm like, I need to get off of here and ask you what kind of lights you use, because whatever those lights are, I need them over here, because that production studio is off the chain, right? I wait for your course to come out, because so many people are going to be able to come from out of obscurity and stand in their own space, because you have really done a phenomenal job. Who would have thought that this girl from Illinois, this little girl who people overlooked, St. Louis, right? This little girl who people overlooked, going from place to place, dropping out of every single school that you went into, no college degree and nothing. People was looking at you like you was nobody, but look at you now, about to get your PhD, married, living the suburban life, working job, running a house, and taking care of an amazing husband and king.
young kings, and you will create such amazing spaces for others. And you're so humble, people wouldn't even know the kind of grace and power that's on your life. So I just want to thank God for you. You are amazing.
Sis, come on, okay? Whew.
All I can say is those lashes, they did good.
They did
held
good.
on.
They sure did. They not peeling at the end, okay? I try not to cry because of that, okay? Sis, thank you. You're such a blessing. Thank you. I thank God that you're my coach. Once again, guys, you heard it. I'm speechless, honestly. You heard it. Go ahead and follow her. Please do yourself a favor, okay? Do yourself
and you need to make sure that you're subscribed to this show, because this is where I'm at every Friday night. You want to do girlfriend hangout? This is where we're at every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Ain't nobody pay attention to the Mountain Standard, but you know what?
Oh, really?
Right?
Oh, really?
And 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is where we're at every single Friday.
Yes.
So go ahead and just hit that bell so you can get notified, hit that subscription, because this show has done so much for me. You know, watching her and her husband has done so much for me. Listening to the testimony of the people on the show has been phenomenal. The production quality of this show, the time that's put into this is amazing. You're doing a phenomenal job. I'm really inspired.
Thank you, sis. See what I'm saying? She's such a pusher. She had to go more. You see what I'm saying? She's such a pusher. She built for be a business midwife, y'all. Check her out, please. Thank you guys for joining. I already knew that it was going. My husband said, you know, it's going to be 2 hours. I said, of course. It's me and Natalie. I mean, geez.
Oh.
It's me and Natalie in the building, okay? And so he had so much to say on here. I texted him while you was talking. I was like, call her after the show, because he had nuggets to give you, Natalie. So I told him to call you. Thank you, guys.
Good. I'm always ready to hear from Brother Prophet Corey.
I can't with her. Guys, thank you for joining the Spoken Truth Talk Show. Tune in next week. The Millennial Speak. Datavia is the host. It's her first episode premiered next week, March the 12th. Millennials, call them all in. Come on in, millennials, because she's going to rip it, and I'm going to be her guest co-host, okay? And so I don't need to do none of this. I'm just sitting and relaxing next week. So join us next week, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern, you Central. Y'all know what time it is. All right, see you guys next week. Follow us, share, and join next week, okay? See you guys next week. Peace.
Here we go.
I gotta bring correction. I gotta bring the truth. Pray for boldness.
The church is being shaken right now.
The church is blinded. The church has literally left God and don't even know it. Rise up, God's people.